Today we will talk about the lower extremities. This is Anatomy 101 of the lower extremities. To start with, let's talk about your foot. Our foot is composed of 26 bones. We have 14 phalanges, 5 metatarsals, and 7 tarsals. The phalanges are the bones of the toes. So the first digit, also known as your great toe, has 2 phalanges. It only has the distal phalanx and the proximal phalanx. While the second, third, fourth, and fifth digits have 3 each. They have distal phalanx. So these are the distal phalanges. They also have middle phalanx for the second, third, fourth, and fifth phalanges or digits. The proximal phalanx for the second, third, fourth, and fifth digit. The phalanges are long bones. They have body and 2 expanded articular ends. So the proximal end are called the bases. So these are the bases. So those are the proximal bases, while the distal ends are called the heads. So these are the head of phalanges. The 5 metatarsals are called the instep. So meta means beyond, because the metatarsals are located beyond the tarsals. So here are your tarsal bones, while your metatarsals are located here. So your metatarsals are named as first metatarsal, second, third, fourth, and fifth metatarsal. Your metatarsals, just like the phalanges, are also considered as long bones because they have body and 2 expanded articular ends. The proximal end of metatarsal are also called the bases, which are expanded, while the distal end are the head, and they have a characteristic shape or appearance that are rounded. The ball of foot is formed by the 5 heads of the metatarsals. Characteristic of some metatarsals include the first metatarsal, which is considered as the shortest and thickest. The second metatarsal is the longest metatarsal, while the fifth metatarsal is in its base has a prominent tuberosity, which is a common site of fracture. Now let's talk about the 7 tarsal bones. Remember that uh, for the upper extremity, your wrist is composed of 8 carpal bones. So the 7 tarsal bones uh, is synonymous to, no? So kung carpal bone ang nasa taas, tarsal bones naman ang nasa paa, no? But you only have 7 for tarsal bones. So the tarsal bones are the medial cuneiform, the intermediate cuneiform, the lateral cuneiform, the cuboid. Next is your navicular, your talus, and your calcaneus. So the calcaneus is the largest and strongest tarsal. So it projects posteriorly and medially. So as it projects posteriorly and medially, it also angulates or is angulated inferiorly to form approximately 30 degrees from the horizontal plane. So this is your horizontal plane. The inferior angulation of the calcaneus is 30 degrees. So this angle is approximately 30 degrees. So remember that this angulation is also attributed to the longitudinal curve of the foot. So we will be discussing that later on. The posterior and inferior portions contain the posterior tuberosity for attachment of the Achilles tendon. So in this particular surface is a roughened area of the calcaneus, which serves as the attachment of the Achilles tendon. It is called the posterior tuberosity of calcaneus. Your calcaneus also has 3 articular facets. These facets join the talus, which is situated superiorly. So we have the anterior articular facet, the middle articular facet, and the posterior articular facet. Between the middle and posterior articular facets is your calcaneal sulcus. So it is a groove between these 2 articular facets, and it is located there. When it is articulating with a similar groove that is located inferior of the talus, they will form what we call your sinus tarsi. So your sinus tarsi is the collective term for the calcaneal sulcus inferiorly. It is located here, and the talar sulcus superiorly. So the sinus tarsi is located approximately in this particular anatomical location. Your sustentaculum tali is an outward extension or shelf-like overhang in the medial aspect of the calcaneus. So it is located there. The trochlea is present at the lateral surface. The talus, this one is your talus. It is irregular in form and it is positioned in the most superior position of the foot. It is the second largest tarsal, second only to your or next to your calcaneus. Its articulation with the tibia and fibula here, with the calcaneus, which is mentioned earlier, with the anterior articular facet, middle articular facet, and the posterior articular facet. And of course, with the navicular anteriorly here. The superior surface is called the trochlear surface. It articulates with the tibia. The head of talus is directly anteriorly and is in articulation with the navicular bone and the calcaneus. The inferior surface of the talus is also described earlier, that forms the roof of the sinus tarsi. This is a groove called the sulcus tali. No? So ito yung sulcus tali natin. The superior or the roof of the sinus tarsi. So if we combine the calcaneal sulcus discussed earlier, the calcaneal sulcus here forms the floor of the sinus tarsi, while the sulcus tali forms the roof of the sinus tarsi. It is located here. So if you combine these two, you are going to form, or it forms, the sinus tarsi. So yan. Posteriorly, the posterior articular surface is with the calcaneus. So the posterior articular surface of the talus is with the calcaneus. So this one. The cuboid bone. The cuboid lies on the lateral side of the foot. So it is between the calcaneus. So this one is your cuboid. And it is between the calcaneus, the fourth, and the fifth metatarsals. The navicular bone is located on the medial side of the foot. So ito siya. So ito yung cuboid natin kanina, ito yung navicular. It is between the talus. So alam natin the navicular is located laterally. The cuboid is located medial of the foot. So the navicular bone is between the talus and the three cuneiforms. We have the middle, intermediate, and the lateral cuneiform. The cuneiforms are central and medial aspect of the foot. It is between the navicular bone and the first, second, and third metatarsals. The medial cuneiform is the largest. So ito siya. While the intermediate cuneiform is the smallest. The location of your lateral cuneiform is located here. Yan. Moving on, the function of your foot is walking and support. No? It is for walking and for support of the body's weight. So the forefoot is composed of the metatarsals and the toes, no? So these 5 metatarsals and the phalanges of the toes. The midfoot is composed of 5 tarsal bones, the cuneiforms, the middle, intermediate, and the lateral cuneiform, as well as the navicular and cuboid. The hind foot is composed only of the 2 largest tarsal bones, the talus and the calcaneus. Let's talk about the longitudinal arc. The longitudinal arc functions as shock absorber to distribute the weight of the body in all directions. So take note that the medial longitudinal arc is here, while the lateral longitudinal arc is located laterally here. Now, that is the reason why perhaps that flat-footed individuals always suffer from leg pain or pain in their feet because uh, basically they fail to distribute, no, the weight of the body towards all directions of their foot while ambulating, no, habang kapag ka sila ay naglalakad. The transverse arc assists in supporting the longitudinal arc. So you have to view it actually when the medial cuneiform, intermediate cuneiform, and the lateral cuneiform are viewed this way. So with the cuboid. So the transverse arc is drawn this way. Let's talk about the two surfaces of the foot. We have the dorsal surface, which is the superior surface, while you also have the plantar surface or the inferior surface. The sesamoid bones are located here. It is beneath the head of the first metatarsal. So, dalawa yan at nakadetach sila from the foot. While they are called sesamoid bones, all sesamoid bones are at least buried two-thirds of its whole surface or of its whole body into a tendon. So, nakabaon yung mga sesamoid bones natin about two-third of its volume or surface. Nakabaon yan or nakadikit yan sa tendon. So it is seen in most sesamoid bones of the foot is seen in most adult foot radiograph, no. Common site of fracture ang mga ito and it must be demonstrated radiographically. So radiographically speaking, tangential projections of the sesamoid bone is used to demonstrate them, no. So we have the Lewis and Hawley method as well as your Cowstone method. Moving on, we have the bones of the legs. So these two bones are the tibia and fibula. So tibia is the largest bone in the body. So it is the major weight-bearing bone of the lower extremity or of the leg, no. Between these two bones, the tibia and fibula, tibia carries around 5/6 of our weight. So for a 60 kilogram person, 50 kilograms ang pinaghahatian ng dalawang tibia natin. 10 kilograms lang yung pinaghahatian ng dalawang fibula natin. So that one is your tibia, anteriorly viewed, posteriorly viewed. This one is your posterior view of your tibia. So the medial side of the leg or the medial bone is the tibia, while the lateral bone is the fibula. So it is slightly anterior to the fibula. It has one body and two expanded extremities. So that one is the body. These are the extremities. So tibia at its proximal end are two prominent processes called the medial and lateral condyles. You have the medial condyles and the lateral condyles. So the tibial plateaus are superior surfaces of the condyles that form smooth facets for articulation with the condyles of the femur. So, dito sa mga tibial plateaus na to, diyan kumbaga nakiki-articulate yung condyles ng femur. The tibial plateaus slope posteriorly at about 10 to 20 degrees. So, laterally, if you view the fibula, proximal fibula and tibia here, It forms a posterior slope about 10 to 20 degrees from horizontal. So this is your horizontal plane, this is the slope. So this degree, or this angulation rather, is about 10 to 20 degrees. So that is the posterior slope of your tibial plateaus. The intercondylar eminence is a sharp projection between two articular surfaces. The medial and lateral intercondylar tubercles are two peak-like processes considered as terminal end of the intercondylar eminence. So they are located here. The lateral condyle has a facet at its distal posterior surface for the articulation with the head of fibula. So proximally, it is located here because this is the head of your fibula. The tibial tuberosity is a prominent process on the anterior surface just below the condyle. Ligamentum patellae, point of attachment. So this area is the point of attachment for the ligamentum patellae. It is important radiographically or for us RadTech because you have to include this on a axial cuts of your MRI of the knee because you have to include the ligamentum patellae which is attached on the tibial tuberosity. So yon. So dapat kasali yan sa axial slices sa MRI ng knee. The anterior crest is a sharp ridge from the tuberosity extending along the anterior surface of the body. Here. The distal end is broad, no? So the medial malleolus is prolonged large process of the medial end. It is located here, the medial malleolus. The anterior tubercle on the anterolateral surface overlays the fibula. So it is located there. The lateral surface is flattened and contains triangular fibular notch for articulation with the fibula. So yung triangular fibular notch is located here. It is part of the tibia. So tatandaan, the fibular notch is part of the tibia because it receives the fibula. The distal tibia is smooth and articulates with the talus right at this particular surface. So diyan, yan yung nakiki-articulate dun sa talus natin. So the fibula, so these are your fibula, is slender in comparison to its length. So it has one body and two articular extremities. So that one is your body and articular extremities of your fibula. The proximal end is called the head. The apex is a conical projection located at the lateroposterior aspect of the head. So the head articulates with the lateral condyle of the tibia, right at that particular anatomy or location. The distal end of fibula is enlarged and is actually the lateral malleolus. So siya yung nagfo-form ng lateral malleolus sa ating ankle. So yan. The lateral malleolus is pyramidal and marked by several depressions. Actually, it lies approximately 15 to 20 degrees more posterior than the medial malleolus. So the lateral and medial malleolus have that particular relationship. The lateral malleolus lies more posterior than the medial malleolus. So radiographically, during ankle mortis projection requires the medial and lateral malleolus to be parallel with the plane of IR. So yan yung ating Kumbaga, yan yung ating sinusundan kapag pinuposition natin yung ankle ng pasyente. So, the ankle joint of the patient in preparation for ankle mortis. So, this procedure requires rotating the foot medially about 15 to 20 degrees. So, say for example, you are going to take a radiograph, no, of the ankle joint. So, the ankle joint actually assumes this particular shape. So, dito pa lang kita mo na this particular uh, concave area here accommodates the lateral malleolus. So, the medial malleolus is more anterior than the lateral malleolus. So, our goal here is the plane between the medial and lateral malleolus should be parallel to the plane of the image receptor. So, if you are going to take a radiograph of the ankle joint with the ankle and or the foot of the patient in neutral position, you are not going to display the ankle mortis uh, that is open. No? So, hindi mo may display yan na open ankle mortis. So, to achieve that, you have to medially rotate the foot of the patient about 15 to 20 degrees. Kasi ang difference nga nitong dalawa is 15 to 20 degrees. So, you have to medially rotate it. So, remember, this is the lateral side, this is the medial side. So, you medially rotate the ankle or the foot of the patient to achieve a particular position like this. So, radiographically speaking, you are going to display an open mortise joint because this mortise joint is parallel to that of your central ray, and the plane between the two malleoli are parallel to the plane of the IR. So, yun yung goal natin. In that way, you will be able to display open mortise joint. So, now let's talk about your thigh or the femur. Femur is the bone of your thigh. Femur is the longest and strongest and heaviest bone of our body. It has one body and two articular extremities. So, the body is cylindrical and is slightly convex anteriorly. So, kung titingnan mo, nasa side ka, anteriorly, makikita mo, convex siya, no? So, and it slants medially. So, if you look at the femur from the front or from the back, it slants medially about 5 to 15 degrees. So, from vertical plane, so the medial slanting of the femur depends on the breadth of the pelvic girdle, but it is around 5 to 15 degrees. So, this angle is around 5 to 15 degrees. So, the superior portion of the femur articulates with the acetabulum of the pelvis to form the hip joint. So, this is the superior portion of the femur, and that is the approximate location of your acetabulum, which will be discussed in later presentations. So, the distal end of the femur is broadened and has two large eminences called the condyles. So, these are your condyles. Anteriorly viewed, ganyan yung itsura niya. Posteriorly viewed, ganito yung itsura niya. The medial condyle is lower than the lateral condyle. So, the difference between the two is 5 to 7 degrees. So, this one is the lateral condyle. This is the medial condyle. It is lower. The medial condyle is lower than the lateral condyle. So, take note that in radiography, lateral radiograph of the knee, central ray is 5 to 7 degrees cephalad to open the joint space of the knee. So, for example, you have already positioned the patient for lateral knee X-ray. Take note that the central ray, we will use the tip or the apex of the patella as reference point. So we position or direct the central ray about 1/2 inch inferior to the patellar apex. So mas mababa dito, 1/2 inch, yun yung magiging ating central ray. So the central ray of about 5 to 7 degrees cephalad aims to open the knee joint, no? So it is because you would like to put the shadow of the medial condyle superimpose the shadow of the lateral condyle. So to achieve that, you have to use 5 to 7 degrees cephalad central ray. So you will be able to obtain a radiograph similar to this particular illustration. The femur, the medial condyle of the femur is said to be larger than the lateral condyle, which is smaller. The medial condyle contains the adductor tubercle located on the posterolateral aspect. It is raised bony area that receives the tendon of the adductor muscle. And it is important to identify on lateral knee radiograph because it assists in identifying over-rotation or under-rotation. So let's talk about the patellar surface of the femur. The patellar surface of the femur is a shallow triangular depression that separates the condyle anteriorly. So with that depression, you are able to better distinguish the condyles. So this depression distinguishes the lateral condyle and the medial condyle. So the depression is viewed laterally like that. The intercondylar fossa is a deep depression that separates the condyle posteriorly. So dito naman siya nakikita. The medial and lateral condyles, epicondyles rather, epi means above. So these are light prominence above and within the curve of each condyle. So they are located above the condyle. The popliteal surface is a triangular area superior to the intercondylar fossa. So this is your intercondylar fossa, the green one. So the intercondylar fossa on the posterior femur is between the condyle or the femoral condyles. Kaya nga siya tinawag na intercondylar fossa. The popliteal blood vessels and nerves passes through these structures. Now let's talk about your patella. So the patella is a sesamoid bone. It is actually the largest and most constant sesamoid bone of the body. So a flat triangular bone. It is located distal and anterior to the surface of femur. Kaya tayo may tinatawag na patellar surface of the distal femur. It develops in the tendon of quadriceps femoris muscle between ages 3 to 5 years. So that is the anterior view of your patella, while this one is the posterior view of your patella. That's the base and the apex. The apex is the tip of the patella, directed inferiorly and lies 1/2 inch above the knee joint. So, di ba sabi natin kanina, central ray for knee joint radiography is about 1/2 inch below the patellar apex. So, you have the central ray to target the knee joint. It should be 1/2 inch below the patellar apex because the patellar apex is 1/2 inch above the knee joint space. So remember that. Knee MRI axial images should include the tibial tuberosity. So I made mention of this a while ago. The tibial tuberosity should be included in MRI images, especially in axial images, because it also meant you are including the patellar ligament. So it is located in that particular area here. The base of the patella is located superiorly. So baliktad yan dun sa conventional na bases and apices or apex. Ang apex, alam natin, nasa taas parate. Ang base, alam natin, nasa baba parate. But for the patella, it is inverted. No? The base is located superiorly, the apex is located inferiorly. Yan, that is the base of the patella. The knee joint is composed of the femur, tibia, fibula, and the patella. So it is a complex group of ligaments working together to provide knee joint stability. So it has rather a complex group of ligaments. So radiographers produce these images using or through MRI. So ligamental tear is an indication for MRI. It can cause great pain and may alter bone positions. So we have the posterior cruciate ligament, the anterior cruciate ligament, the tibial collateral ligament, and the fibular collateral ligament. So this one is your medial meniscus and the lateral meniscus. The lateral and medial meniscus are two fibrocartilage discs. So sila yung responsible dun sa separation ng femur at saka tibia sa knee x-ray. So pag nag-x-ray tayo ng tuhod, merong space between the femur and tibia. It is because the lateral and medial meniscus, which are cartilages, are not seen on x-ray. So they are radiolucent, no? So hindi sila nakikita sa x-ray, so they are called radiolucent. So this one is your lateral meniscus and the medial meniscus. So each circular menisci lie on the tibial plateaus. So these are thick at the outer margin of the joint and taper off towards the center of the tibial plateau. So it forms a basin-like structure or funnel-like. Funnel ba yun? Basin-like structure because it tapers towards the center. So it provides stability for the knee and act as a shock absorber. So this one is an illustration of the anterior cruciate ligament and the posterior cruciate ligament. The lateral and medial meniscus are commonly torn during injury. So knee arthrogram or knee MRI are performed to visualize the meniscular tear. The center of the tibial plateau is a cartilage that articulates directly with the condyle of the knee. So, the femoral condyle and the medial condyle. So, kumbaga, yung dun sa tibial plateau, aside from the meniscus, lateral meniscus and the medial meniscus. Or, yes. You have an articular cartilage at the center. Okay. So, kumbaga, yung mga yan ay na-sandwich dun sa femoral and tibial condyles. So, this time, let's talk about the lower limb articulations. So, mga joints naman. So the lower limb articulations, first for the foot, no, specifically the phalanges of the foot. You have the distal interphalangeal joints. So these are between the distal and middle phalanges. So ito yung mga yon. You have the proximal interphalangeal joints between the middle and proximal phalanges. Ito yung mga yon. So notice, this distal interphalangeal joint and proximal interphalangeal joints are true only to your second, third, fourth, and fifth phalanges or digits. So second through fifth digits. While the interphalangeal joint is between the two phalanges of the great toe. Why? Kasi dalawa lang siya. Wala siyang, it has only the distal phalanx and the proximal phalanx. So, you only have interphalangeal joint. But all these joints can be generally called interphalangeal articulations or interphalangeal joints because these joints are between phalanges. So, these joints are synovial hinges that allow only flexion and extension. So, itong lahat yon. Next, we have the metatarso-phalangeal joints. It is between the heads of the metatarsals and the proximal ends of phalanges. So, these are their location. So, ito yung mga yon, yung mga red. The metatarsophalangeal joint are synovial ellipsoidal joints. Movements, flexion, extension, slight adduction, and abduction. The intermetatarsal joints is between the proximal bases of metatarsals. You have the intermetatarsal joint between the second and third and fourth, and the fourth and fifth. So in short, wala tayo sa first and second. So yung tatlong yan ang ating mga intermetatarsal joints. The tarsometatarsal joints are between the proximal bases of the metatarsals and tarsals. They are synovial gliding joints, movements, flexion, extension, adduction, and abduction. So, ito yung mga yon. The intertarsal joints are between tarsals. They are synovial gliding or synovial ball and socket joints. Movements is like gliding movements. So, ito yung mga intertarsal joints natin. The intertarsal joint are joint spaces that are narrow and obliquely situated. Those lying in the horizontal plane slants inferiorly and posteriorly at a vertical angle of approximately 15 degrees. So positioning parameters, angle the tube or foot adjustment. So pwedeng tube angulation tayo or foot adjustment kapag ka nag-e-x-ray ng ating mga paa, no? Ng mga paa. So, suppose your radiography or your image receptor and foot is positioned flat on top of the radiographic table. Then from vertical, you have to angulate your central ray. So, why do we need to angulate our central ray? The toes apiaxial projection. For toes apiaxial projection, it requires 15 degrees angulation. Bakit? To place the interphalangeal joints. So, yun yung goal natin, no? To put or to place the interphalangeal joints and the metatarsophalangeal joint spaces parallel with the central ray. But if you are going to take a radiograph of the whole foot, no, for foot apiaxial projection, it requires 10 degrees central ray angulation towards the heel, no. So, ang direction nito, ang description ng direction na to is towards the heel. So, 10 degrees angulation. This is to place the metatarsals perpendicular to the central ray. So, this is your central ray. The metatarsals are perpendicular. Therefore, if the metatarsals are perpendicular to the central ray, ibig sabihin, hindi siya foreshortened. Hindi siya magproproduce ng image na maikse or yun nga, foreshortened, no? So, there is no shape distortion, okay, of the image that you are going to produce. That is the reason why we do not do, or we do not usually do, perpendicular central ray for the foot, because you do not want the metatarsals to be distorted. Next, let's talk about the subtalar joint. The subtalar joint lies on the premise that, or on the fact that, calcaneus supports the talus. So, beneath it is the subtalar joint. It is an irregularly shaped three-faceted joint surface which is synovial gliding. So, ito siya. The calcaneo-cuboid joint is between the calcaneus and the cuboid. So, it is located here. It is a synovial gliding joint, while the talocalcaneo-navicular joint is between the talus resting on top of the calcaneus and navicular bone anteriorly. Ayan. Ano naman to? It is the tibio-talar joint. Ayan. So, this one is your tibio-talar joint. Obviously, it is between the talus, this one is your talus, and the tibia. No? So, the tibia, which includes the malleolus of the tibia, which is the medial malleolus. The talofibular joint is between the talus, talo, and fibula. Talofibular joint is between the talus and the fibula. So, the fibula on its lateral side, or the lateral malleolus. So, yan. Pag binuo mo yan, ang tawag dyan is ankle joint or ankle mortise joint. So, technically, ankle joint and mortise joint is the same. But, magkaiba lang yung radiographic projection natin or technique kapag ginawa yan. Which is, na-explain naman na natin yan sa mga previous slides. It is between the lateral malleolus of the fibula and the inferior surface and medial malleolus of the tibia, as against or with the superior portion of the talus. So, ito yung kabuuan niya. So, the ankle joint, as what we have said, and the mortise joint is defined basically the same. So, it is a synovial hinge joint movement, dorsiflexion or flexion, plantar flexion or extension, full plantar flexion. Kapag ka nag-full plantar flexion, a small amount of rotation and adduction, abduction is permitted. Let's talk about the tibiofibular joint. Obviously, we have two tibiofibular joint. We have the distal tibiofibular joint. It is a fibrous syndesmosis joint allowing slight movement. So, ang mga syndesmosis na joint is slight movement lang yung mga yan. The proximal tibiofibular joint is between the head of fibula and posterior-inferior surface. So, the distal tibiofibular joint is synovial gliding joint. The proximal, that was the proximal tibiofibular joint. Okay, so i-recap natin yung part na yun, no? So, ang distal tibiofibular joint is fibrous syndesmosis. So, limited lang or slight movement lang siya. Ang proximal tibiofibular joint is synovial joint or synovial gliding joint. Okay, next is your patellofemoral joint. It is between the patella and the patellar surface of the femur. So the patella is locked onto the patellar surface of the femur whenever the knee is flexed. Okay, so it it is in this particular anatomy. Okay, so that is your patellofemoral joint. It protects the front of the knee. If the knee is extended and relaxed, patella is freely movable. While if the knee is flexed, patella is locked in position. So, nandito lang siya sa patellar surface ng femur kapag naka-flex yung knee natin. Next is you have your femorotibial joint. It is the knee joint or it is also known as the largest joint. So it is between the femur, the femoral condyles, and the tibial condyles. This joint is synovial modified hinge joint. Movements, flexion, extension. It allows slight medial and lateral rotation in flex position. So that's all for this presentation. I hope you learned something today, and I hope you will be able to share also this presentation. So don't forget to learn something new each day, and I thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.